Hey guys, in this video we're going to learn some definitions that we're going to use again. We've met some of them before, but let's take a look and make sure we know what these words mean because we're going to be using them when we talk about protein synthesis in coming videos. So here are the definitions we need to know, and we've mentioned some of them in Chapter 9. Genotype, phenotype, and gene. So let's find out what's the meaning of these terms. So remember, your genotype is the genetic makeup of your organism. So remember, in your organism, you have homologous chromosomes that are in pairs. And remember, these homologous chromosomes will have matching genes at matching locations or loci. So in this area here where I shaded in, this could be the gene for eye color. But remember, both genes don't have to be the same. This could be the gene for blue eyes. This could be the gene for brown eyes. The alleles, the different versions of the genes will be found on these homologous chromosomes. So your genotype is your genetic makeups. These are all of the proteins that you could possibly produce. Like this person I just mentioned, if they have the gene for blue eyes, they can make the protein that makes blue eyes. If they have the gene for brown eyes, they can make the protein that makes brown eyes. So we've got all of this hereditable information stored in our chromosomes on our DNA nucleotide sequence. However, we're only going to express probably one of this pair of genes. So we're going to pick an eye color, either brown or blue, and then that's the one that we're going to express. So when we say a protein is expressed, we mean that the protein is being synthesized. The protein is being made. So when you get your phenotype, the phenotype is the result of the expression of a wide variety of proteins. So these are the proteins that you're actually making. These are the genes that you're actually using to make the proteins. So the phenotype is what you look like, the proteins your body made. Your genotype is all of the recipes you have, okay? So your genotype, you got the recipe for blue eyes, the recipe for brown eyes. You're just going to pick one of those, and then you're going to have the result, brown eyes, evidenced on the outside of your body. So we mentioned there, what's a gene? A gene is one particular area on these chromosomes, and it's a particular sequence of DNA that codes for one functional product, like a polypeptide. Remember, a polypeptide is a chain of amino acids. Remember, if you want to build a protein, you get all your amino acids and you stick them together, and then that gives you your primary structure of your protein, and then you're going to fold it into the 3D structure after that. So remember that when we talk about a gene, we're talking about a specific area of your DNA that's inside your nucleus. So when you say you've got your genes, you're talking about recipes for one particular product, like a polypeptide, part of a protein. And humans have about 20,500 genes. So that means we can make about 20,500 proteins, or sometimes even more, and we'll get into that more later. So remember, inside your cell, you have your nucleus. Inside your nucleus, you have your chromosomes. Inside your chromosomes, you're going to have specific areas that are called genes. And each gene is a specific piece of DNA that codes for how to make a particular product, like a particular protein. So remember, proteins are made of amino acids. These are the building blocks of proteins. So what your gene is, what this piece of DNA is a recipe telling you which amino acids to put in which order. So here, glycine, proline, threonine, glycine again. This recipe for which amino acid to put in which order was stored inside our DNA, which is inside the nucleus of our cell. So when we have a gene, we've got the recipe for how to build one product, one polypeptide, one protein. So the genes tell you which amino acid to put and which order to put it in. So if you want to build a protein, which is what our next videos are going to be about, protein synthesis, you've got to have the recipe. If you want to bake a cake, you got to have the recipe. You got to know how much of each ingredient to put in there. It's the same with proteins. You have to know which ones. You need to know which order they go in, because remember, that's really important for the folding aspect, so that it folds correctly and it ends up being the right shape. Because remember, For proteins, it has to be the right shape or it won't work properly. So the gene has the recipe for which amino acid to put in which order to build this particular product or protein. So that's our definitions of genotype, phenotype, and gene. And now in our next video, we're going to start doing protein